Insights, CNN's Nia-Malika Henderson, Paul Kane of the Washington Post, Tarini Parti of the Wall Street Journal, and former federal prosecutor Shan. Let's start with you. What does it tell you? It's about the Trump organization. He was the head of the Trump organization before he was president, so it's logical. He will fight it. What does this tell you that the Attorney General has decided, I want to depose Donald J. Trump?
Well, I think he's a very important person to depose, very logical that she would do that. I do think that for his team, this is bad news because he's going to make a far worse witness than he used to make. After being president, he's going to be really uncontrollable at this point. They'll look to delay it. As a last-ditch effort, they might even consider raising a Fifth Amendment privilege, even though it's a civil deposition.
Can you do that?
Oh, yes, you can. Yeah.
In each of the cases here. And let's get to this. You already heard Kara Scannell relaying the statement from the Trump organization. Witch hunt has been a very familiar refrain that the former president has used. One of the arguments you would also expect is that Letitia James is running for governor, but just moments ago she tweeted this: I have come to the conclusion that I must continue my work as Attorney General. There are a number of important investigations and cases that are underway, and I intend to finish the job. I am running for re-election to complete the work New Yorkers elected me to do. Significant development for New York State politics, but also takes away an argument for the public sector. It has nothing to do with the legal questions involved that Donald Trump would make.
It does. Listen, I'm sure they'll still make that argument anyway, even though she's not running for governor. She was sort of barely running for governor anyway over these last few weeks. Listen, she has been very effective at her job. If you think about the people who have gotten pushed aside, fired, had to resign because of investigations she has launched. If you are Donald Trump, this makes you nervous, and you see the big pushback from him and his allies as well. And we sort of know the Donald Trump who sits before folks. He has a tendency to lie, both in public and sometimes under oath as well. So we'll see what comes of this. But it isn't a surprise, as you said, that they want to talk to the head of the Trump organization.
All right, let's shift now to another investigation to which Trump is central, a very different issue. It's the January 6th investigation. And we have some new details about what Trump's former chief of staff, Mark Meadows, turned over to the committee. The materials, we are told, include texts from Meadows about exactly what the then president was doing during the deadly riot up at the Capitol. Again, remember, Meadows voluntarily turned over the records, but suddenly doesn't want to answer questions. Yesterday, he filed a lawsuit challenging his subpoena. Meadows, central witness for the committee here, Paul. They want to get him. I assume, I saw what Adam Schiff and other members of the committee said. They view this as just a stalling tactic.
Absolutely. I mean, that has been the Trump plan ever since this committee started its work. The idea being, if they can stall this out all the way until the end of December next year, they believe the Republicans will win the majority in the House, and then Kevin McCarthy or whoever becomes Speaker will simply let this committee disappear and vanish. I don't know if Meadows can stall that long. I mean, even in the case with Steve Bannon, where they're going to go to trial in July, the committee is upset that it's taking that long, but that still leaves them another 4 or 5 months after that trial is done to try and grind it out and get more information that could be bad for Trump.
And it's fascinating. The investigation essentially starts on Election Day and runs through the insurrection. That's what the committee's trying to put together. But one of the big questions is, what was the then president of the United States doing? Did he take it urgently, or was he watching with joy as his supporters stormed the Capitol? Our Jamie Gangel, fascinating reporting. 6,000 documents Meadows turned over, including some from his personal cell phone and his emails. Discussions from what Trump was doing during the riot. Liz Cheney, a member of the committee, saying that non-privileged documents Meadows turned over include documents that are directly related to what President Trump should have been doing on January 6th during the attack. She, of course, making the case that he was negligent in his duty. But again, they have the documents evidence. They want Meadows to talk about it.
That's right. And he actually has talked about it to a certain extent in his book. And it is noteworthy that this sort of more aggressive action that he's taking against the committee and in support of the president is coming at a time when the president is sort of less than thrilled about what he's revealing in his book. And we know how much the president, likes to sue people, or former president likes to sue people or threaten to sue people. So this seems to be sort of a very Trumpy response from Mark Meadows at a time when, the president is unhappy with him and questioning his loyalty.
And if you listen to Mark Meadows, this is the argument he makes, not in the court of law, but in the court of Trump, meaning on Fox News.
We received a subpoena that went to our telecommunication carrier that was so broad that you would have to do some type of legislative contortions to find a legislative reason for that subpoena.
I see you smiling, Counselor. Look, he was voluntarily cooperating. Then he figured out the committee was doing what it should be doing, getting all the documentary evidence it can, meaning subpoenaing people's cell phone records, which was common sense, and he has a very good attorney. They knew that. Then suddenly he decided, never mind, I'm not cooperating. What do you view as this lawsuit challenging? Does he have a case?
It's a completely frivolous lawsuit. I mean, the court's got to ask, at what point did you realize you were cooperating with an unconstitutional investigation? He's been giving documents saying we're cooperating, and now suddenly there's some sort of panic setting in that says, oh, this is really wrong, we shouldn't even be doing this. He's already begun the process. Makes no sense.
Is it the kind of thing, though, that if he's just trying to run out the clock, that you can drag on a case for weeks and months, or would a judge just look at it and toss it out?
A judge should just look at it and toss it out. One-liner, dismiss it. But the reality is it may give him some extra time.
All right, we'll watch as that plays out. Up next.